Hello guys and welcome back to Stylish Naija YouTube channel. I want to say thank you to all of my subscribers. Thank you guys for subscribing to my channel. So guys, in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to make this shoulder dart blouse with a stylish hem. So at the end of the day you can see this was what I made. It's a really simple project. It's a bustier blouse and you can pair it up with a long skirt just like you saw the one on the picture initially. So this was what I did. So guys, let's get started. Please, if you find this video helpful, please hit on the like button. So these are the fabrics I'm going to be making use of. So my fabric is like 1.5 yards of fabric. That's what I'm going to be making use of. So I already have my pattern paper on the table and then I have some lines on it. So I'll label the line. That is the shoulder line, the bust line, under bust, the waist, and then the hem. That's the last one, and those are the measurements on the screen. So you can see my bust point is 10, under bust is 13, the waist is 16, and then the hem is using 24. So I'll come to this shoulder line. I'll measure my shoulder measurement, divide by 2, which is 7. I'll add ½ inch and then I'll place it there. From that point, I'll come down by 1 inch and then create a shoulder slope. So, and then from that shoulder slope, I'll come down by 8 inches and then I'll mark it up and then I'll roll it this way. So I'll create a curve. Can you see? So that curve that I'm trying to create is for my armhole. And then from this point, I'll take my full body measurement, divide by 4, that's the bust. I'll add 1 inch for that and then 2 inches for allowance. I'll come to the under bust. I'll do the same thing, divide my under bust measurement by 4 and then I'll come to the waist. I'll divide by 4, I'll place it, add my dart and then add 2 inches for my allowance. I'll come to the hem, the same thing, I'll do all of those. So this is actually the back pattern that I'm drafting first. So guys, please, if you find this video helpful, please hit on the like button, and if you have not subscribed to my channel, you can subscribe. And then if you want to register for my online classes, you can do that, okay? Just see the number on the screen. So what I just did, I added my bust span, which is the nipple to nipple. So I'm using 4 inches. So that is what I did. So for the neckline, I just came down 3 inches by 2 inches. So that's what I did for the neckline. And then from that part, I divided that shoulder part into two to create that shoulder dart and then extended that bust span line. So I'll just blend that part so that it is not pointing. And then I want to take my dart. So I'll take my dart of 1 inch. I'll divide that on the waistline. I'll divide it ½ inch on one side and then ½ inch on the other side. And then I would connect it to meet the bust point and then connect it to meet the hip line. Okay, so that's just like basically all for my back pattern. So the next thing, I want to curve the waist line, that's the down part, the hem. I'm going to come up by like 2 inches or 2.5 inches, so it depends on how high you want it to be. And then I'll mark it and then I'll use my pattern curve. I'll curve it out like that. So can you see? I'll just curve it out that way. So this is all we need for our back pattern. So basically the back is just like a basic bodice, okay? And then I'll cut this all out and then we are good to go. So I'm repeating all of those lines on my front pattern and then we're going to go straight into the drafting of our front pattern. So you divide your shoulder measurement into 4. I'll add it and then add ½ inch. And then from that point, I'll rule my line. I'm using 8 inches for my armhole line. That's the armhole depth. I'll mark it. So that line now, that armhole line will serve as my chest line. So from that point, I'll take my shoulder slope. Forgot I did not take the shoulder slope. So that's why I'm trying to correct that line now. So that was what I was trying to do, okay? So the next thing I'm going to do, I'll just connect the line and then I'll take the midpoint of that line. I'll come in by 1/4 inch from that point and then I'll create my armhole curve. So the front armhole is meant to be deeper, so that is why you can see the diagram is looking like that. And then from this point, I'm going to take my bust pan, which is my nipple to nipple measurement. Okay. So yes, yeah, that's it. So I'm using 8 inches. So I'll divide that 8 inches into two. That's four. So I mark 4 inches across all of those lines, and then I'll connect it with a straight ruler. So you can see. So you can measure from one nipple to the other to get your bust span. And then we want to take out the dart. So I'll come to my under bust. I'm using 2 inches for my dart. So from that point, I'm just going to come in that way, can you see? And then I'll create a curve, let that curve go to the that bust point line, can you see? So I'll create it that way to create the bust shoulder dart. So I extended the line up to meet the chest line. So the next thing, from that point, I'm just trying to blend it so it looks okay. And then the next thing I'm going to do, I'll come to my shoulder line. I'll mask my neckline 3 inches. That's what I'm using. I use 3 by 3 inches because it is a high neckline. Okay, so I just connect it that way. And then the next thing, I'm going to divide what is left of my shoulder, and then I'll check where the midpoint is. And then that midpoint, I'm going to use it to extend yes, so extend that line, so to create that shoulder that. And then I'm trying to blend that bust part so that it is not sharp. So you need to blend it so that it will have that curve. So you can see, can you see how the pattern is looking good? And then I'll come to the down part. I'll mark the 2 inch. For the down part, I marked 1.5 inch, and then I'll connect it that way. Okay, so that's for my dart. So I'm still trying to blend this part properly. I noticed it was not well rounded, so I had to still curve it nicely. So like I said, please, if you find this video helpful, please hit on the like button. If you have not subscribed, subscribe. Okay, so that's my full measurement. I'll divide my bust circumference by 4. I'll add my 2 inches allowance and then add stitching allowance. I'll come to the under bust part also, divide by 4, add 2 inches for that, and then add my stitching allowance. I'll come to the waist part also. I'll divide the circumference by 4, add my dart, and then add the stitching allowance. So the same thing, I'll repeat the same thing on the hem using the hem measurement. Okay, so I'll divide that into 4 and then add all of my dart and my allowance, and then I will connect them with a straight ruler. As I'll use my ruler to connect it. Okay, so you can see that is what I'm doing. And then I'll come up by 2, just like we did for the back pattern, and then I'll connect it. So that is all for our front pattern. So you can see our beautiful shoulder dart. So that part, in case you want to add a bust dart to it, you can do that. It is optional. Okay, so I just cut out every piece, and then I'm going to transfer to my fabric. So this is them. I've finished cutting out everything. Just add ½ inch on all of the side. Though it depends on how many inches. You can use 1 inch. I think I use 1 inch. Yes, so I used 1 inch. So these are all of the pieces we're going to start stitching. So the first thing, we're going to stitch the back. I always like starting with my back pattern. So I'll take this and then I'll just place it. It's a straight stitch. You understand, the back are just normal straight stitches, and then I'm joining the back piece. So after that, I'm going to take the other side also. I would repeat it. I'll join it straight. Okay, just join it. And then for the front, I'm starting from the top. So start your shoulder dart, start stitching from the top. There are some patterns you start from the down, but this start, if you notice, I did not pad my fabric. I just use my hairstay. That is because I'm going to do the padding on my lining. I don't want to do it on my fabric. Okay, so I'm just stitching everything. So this is my everything. I finished stitching all of them, so you can see the pad on my lining. The next thing, I want to create out that beautiful stylish hemline at the down part. So I want to shape my dress now. So I'll take the back piece and then take the front piece. I'll place both of them together like this. Can you see what I am trying to do? I'll place them, and then the next thing I'm going to come to this part first. I want to mark my neckline, so I'll use 3 inches for my neckline. That's the width of my neckline, and then I use 5 inches for the depth. Okay, and then I'm going to I'm just trying to get, I used 5 inches for 4.5 thereabout for my for the neckline. So that's the depth of the neckline. And then from that part, so I just put a mark there, and then I'm doing 2 inches for the back of that neckline so you can see. So the next thing, I'm just trying to double check the length, okay, to make sure I don't want it to be too long. So the next thing, I'll come to this bust point. I'm marking the bust point. So mark it. So what I'm basically trying to do is any excess, any extra over excess, I just want to trim them all out before I do the final coupling. So that is what I am doing at this point. So it's just the same thing that I did. I'm just trying to trim out little excesses that are on the dress. Okay, so that's what I did. So, and then cut off the neckline. So the next thing now, I'll come to this down part. I just created a V, and then that V, I just curved the V to this side. You can see, just use your free hand. So I just created the V, so that V, I came up to like 7 inches thereabout, and then just create a V. And then on this side, I just curved it that way. Can you see? So I was just trying to use my free hand to just create out something. So that's what I did. You can see. So you can do it however you want. You can use a pencil, or you can use your chalk. Just try it out. So can you see? So that's the V that is on the side. So I just double check. So the V was about 7 inches. That's the depth, and then I curved it into the down part of the front, and then just cut that out. Most times I don't like cutting it on my pattern. I like cutting it directly on my fabric like this, so you can see. So I was at this point, I was trying to see if I would create another one on this side. I was just trying out, and then I later left it, so you can see. So this is all. I'm just trying to curve that part out. Just curve that part out. So now I'm going to turn this. I'll take this piece and then place it on my lining. I'll sew the neck and then sew it down. Can you see? So that's how it is. And then I'll do the same thing to the back. So I'll just stitch it that way. Stitch it around like that, and then before I will stitch the side, and then I will stitch the neck line. Okay, so after that, the next thing I am trying to do now, so I finished stitching the back, so this is the front. So I was just trying to use my hands to pull them out. Okay, so I'll take them like this, and then I'm going to place them. I'll sew the shoulder, and then join the side and iron it. So after everything, that's after joining the shoulder, then you mark your measurement. Use your chalk to mark it, and then you sew it. So that's all for this. So for the sleeve, I just use a normal puffy sleeve for it. So I did not show it on this dress, so you can see it on my model. So thank you so much, guys,